Christianity is being transformed as well. This is another interesting thing with the concepts of postmodernism, that the church, even the evangelical church, is being rapidly transformed to, so to speak, meet the needs of the postmodern society that we find ourselves in. This was done largely through the efforts of a management consultant starting back in the 80s by the name of Peter Drucker. He actually invented management consulting, the whole field. He was a genius, consulted with every Fortune 1000 company, I'm sure, somewhere along in his life, wrote scores of books. The guy was really a genius in that sense. But he was also an evangelist for a philosophy called communitarianism, which it's a little more complex than this. It's not directly related to communism, but we're pretty doggone close. It basically suggests that people need to succumb to the greater good for the community's sake. You know, we've heard this all over the place, right?
Yes.
Peter Drucker believed, and he was not a Christian, by the way. He even said, "I am not a Christian." But he believed that society needed a leg on a three-legged stool that would support the religious side of society. So he proposed to bring communitarianism, the philosophy, into the church, the evangelical church, and create a new system of megachurches across the country that could have a societal impact on supporting the New World Order. We saw the rise of megachurches over the last 20 years, like Saddleback Church in Southern California, and so Willow Creek, and back in the east, and other large megachurches around the country have risen up. And essentially, this doctrine has turned these pastors, and many other smaller churches now as well, they've turned these formerly evangelical Christian, biblically based pastors into being community organizers instead. A very subtle change, but a very important change, as they buy into the idea that the way to nirvana, if you will, is to get all the churches in town together to save and heal the community. To do good things together, you know, get together and have a marshmallow roast and sing Kumbaya, whatever. And they've essentially turned these pastors of these churches into community organizers.
Who turned them into community organizers?
This is the doctrine of communitarianism, a la Peter Drucker. This is where it came from. There have been organizations that have been consulting with megachurches for the last 30 years. One big one is an organization called Leadership Network. And they're steeped in this Peter Druckerism philosophy. And essentially, the idea is to build a community in your community. Build a community, not just with your church, but with all the other churches. Let's all get together. Let's get the Episcopalians, the Catholics, and whatever. Even the Muslims are welcome. You know, get everybody together and have social projects, and do good community stuff to help the poor and to have some food banks or whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for helping the poor at my discretion. I don't want to be forced to do it by my church, but the idea of a person finding value in serving the greater good is very much a Marxist, communist, socialist idea. That it's not individualism that counts, it's your position in the community that counts, that gives you value. This is the same philosophy we see in technocracy. Your value, the value that you, John B. Wells, for instance, the value that you have is determined by your relationship to the community, not just your individual intrinsic value. It's just dangerous trend. There's a cartoon that somebody fished up from 1934. from the Chicago Tribune. I hope you can put that up for people. It's a larger cartoon, but I blew this part up. This is what the guy was writing in the bottom left-hand side. Plan of action for the U.S. Spend, 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 it says, under the guise of recovery. Bust the government. Blame the capitalists for the failure. Junk the Constitution and declare a dictatorship.
From 1934, and yes, it's displayed on the screen.
1934, John. Can you imagine? Yeah, I don't need to remind you. This is the year that Technocracy Inc. was formed. and this was their plan then, and this is their plan today.
Yeah, and off to the left it says it worked in Russia.
So we see, today we look at the economy. What's going on? Why is everything like so crazy? They're doing the same thing today to try and kill off communism. Kill off capitalism. In fact, I printed an article. I wrote an article the other day